It's okay. Keep
Welcome
it
to
rolling.
Buffoons episode 3, everybody, where we are just a bunch of buffoons. I'm Jake. Joined with me is Troy, Big Al, and we're here to talk about everything ranging from sports, life, world events, you name it. So today's topics, I know we want to talk about NBA. We're talking about, what we're seeing as far as the NBA playoff race, how that's shaping up. We're going to talk about the top 5 MVP candidates who we think is going to win MVP, some different topics or debates on that. I know we want to go into baseball. We've talked a little bit already about the ABS system already. But what we've seen recently are players that have been adjusting their player heights. I mean, some players have shrunk by 3 inches this season. So we're going to talk about how that impacts the ABS challenge system and little recaps on UFC. Maybe we talk about a little NFL. Who knows? But we'll just jump right in. So I think we'll kick it off with an NBA discussion this week. I know that was top of mind. We were all texting about that. So MVP, Luka has been heating up these last, I'd say, like 5 games. Lakers have been on a 9-game winning streak, but I know, I'd say like the last 5 games or so, his scoring has just been ridiculous. He's been averaging, like 40 some odd points a game over the last like 5 games. So what do we think on MVP? I mean, Troy, you were saying yesterday, you think, I mean, Shai is still the MVP favorite. I'm looking right now at the odds. It's a heavy favorite. Um, but after that, it's a little mix between Jokic, Luka. Um, you've got Giannis in there. You've got Anthony Edwards in there. Obviously, I don't think either one of them are going to win it. But what are your thoughts on this?
Well, to piggyback off what you said with Luka, in that 8-game win streak, he was averaging 40 points per game, like you said, and no Laker in the history of their franchise has ever done that. So you think about like Magic Johnson, Shaquille O'Neal, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Kobe Bryant. I mean, even LeBron James, right? Like the list goes on with superstars that they've had. No one's ever averaged 40 points in the span of 8 games. So to kind of go off that, I mean, I still think Shea's the favorite just because, like, the Thunder still have the best record. They're the defending champions. They're probably the favorite to win it again. What I'm kind of curious about, though, is the Thunder's record without Shea is still really good. So normally when I think of MVP, most valuable to your team. When Shea doesn't play, the Thunder are still an elite team, though. So that's where I'm just like, well, what happens when you take some of these other great players off their teams? Like if you were to take Wembanyama off the Spurs, I don't know if the Spurs would perform the same well just because Wembanyama impacts the game as well. And let's be honest, there's no replacement for Wembanyama. There's no other player like Wembanyama in the league. And then I also look at the Nuggets. When Jokic went down with that injury, like a month or two ago, Peyton Watson really stepped up and became like that elite wing that they needed. But that's obviously not to say the Nuggets are worse with Jokic. They're obviously a contender with Jokic. And then looking at the Lakers, like, I don't think the Lakers go on an 8-game win streak without Luka Doncic. Now a 9-game win streak after last night's game against Orlando. So yes, I still think Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is the favorite, and unless something drastic happens, I don't anticipate that changing.
Any thoughts there, Alex? I mean, I'm just looking at it as like, what does a guy like Luka have to do to win MVP? I just look at his stats over the last few years, and it's been incredible. Yet he hasn't won an MVP.
I think he should win MVP. This isn't like a year where Steve Nash stole it from Kobe and it was like, well, the Lakers suck. I think it was 06. Kobe averaged like 30 a
35 or
game.
something.
Yeah, it was something ridiculous.
Yeah.
And he didn't win it because they just felt as if his team wasn't that important, basically, because they didn't have it's kind of like a you have to be on a successful team to win MVP. And everyone thinks OKC is the most successful team. So I mean, I look at the odds and I'm like, that is insane. Like the odds right now from Vegas are absolutely insane. I just think if you put them side by side, numbers can be skewed, obviously, because Shea didn't play a lot of fourth quarters, especially in the beginning of the year. But Luka's stats are far more impressive. So I just and Luka's playing defense this year, so it's not like he's just
Well, he's
scoring,
not as efficient
so
as
I don't
Shea.
know.
I mean, he's not as efficient. That's the one. That's the one knock, right? I mean, he's incredibly efficient, but as far as like his scoring, I think he's slightly under where Shea is as far as his
Well, Jake, let's also be honest for a
field goal,
second.
three-point, and free throw percentages. Let me see.
The, The NBA MVP award is a narrative award. As simple as that, right? There has to be some narrative behind as to why this person won MVP, and there's multiple examples of this. Like, look at after Kevin Durant left the Oklahoma City Thunder to go to Golden State. Russell Westbrook wins MVP the following season. Why? Well, because he was able to carry the team by himself to a playoff run. It wasn't even that high of a seed. I believe it was either a top 4 or 5 seed. Secondly, he was the first player in NBA history since Oscar Robertson to average a triple-double for a season. 2 narratives. You go back to 2011, the year Derrick Rose won MVP. I would say LeBron should have won MVP that year, but because LeBron left and went to Miami, everybody hated him. He didn't win MVP because of that, in my opinion. And they beat the Bulls 4-1 in the conference finals that year. So there's multiple other examples of narratives as to why players won it more than other players. I just think for Luka, the Lakers have been up and down as well. They weren't really hot until recently, like a month ago or so. But the one thing I will say about Luka, he's leading the league in scoring as well. But Shea is more efficient. It's just, like I said, I don't think anything is going to really top Shea winning it this year. So
to me, I'm just like, at what point, what does Luka have to do to win an MVP? I mean, unfortunately, he might just go down in history as one of those guys that like competed during a time while Jokic and Shea were in the league and just consuming MVP awards. But yeah, I mean,
I think
he's
Luka
averaging
will
33 points. Sorry, I just pulled up Luka's stat line here. He's averaging 33.4 points per game, 7.9 rebounds a game, 8.4 assists per game. And his shooting is, he's averaging 36.7% from 3, which is actually better than I thought. I didn't realize he was above 35%. His free throw percentage is where he could definitely improve, 77%. That's crazy because I feel like he's always, man, I feel like anytime I've watched him play the Suns, he goes like 15 for 15 from the line. That's crazy. I would have thought his free throw percentage is higher. And then from the field, 47.6, so almost at 50%. It's still incredibly efficient, but could be slightly better considering Shea is at 55% from the field,
which
39% from 3, 8.8% from the free throw line, while still averaging 31.6 points per game. So it's tough. I
while
see
being on the best team in the league for the entire year, even when he went down, and then almost averaging 50, 40, 90. It's going to be
it's gonna be tough to say none of that.
Now, this is not to say I think Luka will go down with an MVP or maybe multiple MVPs. I just don't think it's going to be this year. So
yeah, still only 26. He's got time, but
yeah, he's got plenty of time. But I just think this year his stats.
But I mean, like Troy just said, you're seeing Victor start to come into his own form. So it's like, at what point is Victor going to start winning the MVPs? At what point is
when he does, he should win them every year at that point. Because
I know that's what I'm saying. And so, like, is Luka going to win an MVP? I think is a fair question to ask. And I mean, he's definitely deserving of one. But
to add on top of that, Jake, too, is like, what if the NBA does expand in 2.5 seasons like they're planning to do? Like, what if the Minnesota Timberwolves do go to the East? That puts Anthony Edwards in the East, a weaker conference. That could only give him a better MVP odds to win that award. So, yeah, I don't know. Like, it's the same thing. Like, should Kobe Bryant have more than one MVP? Yeah. Totally.
Yes.
You know, so yeah,
3.
but
you should have 3.
I think LeBron should probably have 6 MVPs, but he's got 4. You know, so it's like the MVP award is just it's very narrative based.
It is because Jokic should already have more than he does too. I mean,
it isn't 3, but I agree he should have won the one over Embiid.
Dude,
that year that Embiid
I don't
won.
care what you say. He's averaging a triple-double, bro. Like,
yeah.
How do you not give someone that's been done how many times other than him? How many times has it been done?
Well, Russell Westbrook's did it like multiple times at this point, but I think it's just Oscar and Russ. I think that's it. But a center averaging a triple-double is unheard of.
You see what I'm saying? It's like, so if we really want to get into it, Jokic is for sure the most valuable person on his team.
Yeah. I mean, I don't disagree. I think the NBA at this point is hesitant to give players 4 because they don't want anyone tying LeBron, and they certainly don't want anyone going up and tying Michael or Russell at 5 or Kareem at 6.
Which is, I think, a good reason why LeBron doesn't have 6, because I feel like he should have more MVPs than Michael does at this point. But whatever.
And everyone here knows how much I hate. No, everyone here knows how much I hate LeBron, but he should probably have 6. Like, I'm just being honest. Like, At one point, there was no one that was more important to their team than LeBron James. Like,
Yeah.
it's not even close.
Well, I mean, like, I think the best example of that, I hate to, turn back the clock 15, 16 years ago, but like the year LeBron left Cleveland and went to Miami in year one, they were 61-21 in the 2010 season. Then he leaves and Cleveland wins 19 games the following year. So like you could be like,
Derrick Rose won that year, right? Is that
yes, yeah, Rose won
Yeah,
that
I
year.
agree. Yeah. I mean, I don't disagree. LeBron should have won 5 in a row, in my opinion. I think that's because afterwards I pulled up the list here because then Kevin Durant won 1, then Steph Curry won 2, then Westbrook, Harden, Giannis 2, Jokic back to back, Embiid, then Jokic, then Shai. And before LeBron started winning his, they gave Kobe his first. Right before Kobe, it was Dirk, and then 2 to Steve Nash.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I agree. I think one of those, and I'm a Suns fan. But I do agree that I think one of those should have gone to Kobe. I think Kobe should have at least 2 MVPs.
Yeah, Kobe should have multiple MVPs. It's
Yeah.
so ridiculous he doesn't.
Yeah.
It's honestly just, it makes the award not even matter that much. To be honest with you.
Honestly, you could even argue that he should have one. You could even argue that he should have one the year that Tim Duncan won one of his MVPs. I'm just looking right now at like the stat line for some of those years, and man,
Yeah,
they gave it to Duncan that year. I mean, obviously, like you're saying, Troy, it comes down to probably the team with the best record, but
that's normally what it does come down to. That's at least what it came down to 20 years ago. 15, 20 years ago was team success. I think it's changed since 2010, but yeah.
But I mean, it's hard to even say that because in 2002, I mean, Kobe and them were, I think that was the year they didn't win though, but
Kobe was in a, Kobe was
averaged,
in a,
well, just listen, sorry, really quick. Kobe averaged 30 points per game that year. And then above him in voting were Duncan and Garnett, who I agree were great defensively, but so was Kobe. And they both averaged 23 points per game, but Kobe didn't get but 8 votes for MVP, whereas Garnett got 43 and Duncan got 60. I mean, it's crazy.
Just remember too, though, he was in the middle of a scandal for quite some time, and I don't think the league was, I can't remember what years those interlapped, but they weren't going to give it to Kobe while he was flying to Colorado for court every other week. Like,
well, also, Alex, I think like you could probably answer this better than either of us, is Kobe was kind of in a weird spot in the early 2000s. Like a lot of people seem to have thought back then that it's hard to give a player like Kobe an MVP award because he had a player on his team that was just so dominant. Right. And so like when you have 2 superstars on your team, it's really hard to give one of those the MVP because you're like, well, how much of the success goes to Shaq and how much of the success goes to Kobe, even with 3 finals wins in a row. And then there was also that guy in Cleveland coming up at that time. Right. So like 2003 hits, LeBron hits the league. So Kobe was always kind of in like that weird middle ground area to where I don't think you could ever really give him a clear cut MVP award those years. But then as the mid 2000s hit, it's like, okay, we should have given this guy a second MVP, right? Like, I think that's what we can all agree on.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at it right now, I think just being completely unbiased, because I'm not a Lakers fan or a Kobe fan, I do respect his game, but it looks like he should have definitely won 05, 06 over Nash, and he should have won 02 over Duncan, which would have still left Duncan and Nash with 1 MVP. But I do think Kobe should have had 3, and LeBron probably 5. That's a fair assessment there.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Jakers.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the numbers, but yeah, it looks like the voters are a little biased there.
Yeah. Oh well.
Yeah. Well, all right. So let's that was a good little MVP talk, but let's kind of talk a little bit about what the NBA season is shaping up to be. I mean, the Lakers have gone on a little bit of a run since the last time we talked, so I'd like to hear what your ceiling is for them, because with Ayton playing his role, and they've got Marcus Smart right now. I mean, that team is actually better than I think people had previously. And we all know that when it comes playoff time, LeBron's going to play a little bit different. I think he tries to play a little conservative in the regular season to preserve his body for the postseason, but playoff LeBron is still a scary thing. So I'll pass it over to you two, because Alex is the Lakers fan. Troy is our NBA expert here, so they'll probably be able to give us way better analysis on this. But tell us about the Lakers. What do you think on what's their ceiling?
Western Conference Finals. They're not going to the championship. I think they'd have to go on a pretty legendary run too. I just think they're missing a few pieces still. I just don't think Reeves, Luka, and LeBron. I- If they play how they are right now, they could really do some damage. But I'm also kind of nervous that LeBron's going to come in and try to do too much in the playoffs, because what he's doing right now is perfect. They're playing great team basketball. They're playing defense, but I don't I don't see them beating OKC. Not even close. Not even close in a 7-game series. I just think they just have every piece you would need. I don't see. I just don't see them beating them. I'll be honest. I know they've done well against the Nuggets in the regular season. I don't even see them beating them in the 7-game series in the playoffs.
Dang. Yeah, I agree with you as far as ceiling for the Lakers. I think, like I said, dude, I don't think anybody's beating the Thunder again. They're just like 10, 12 deep. You just don't see that in today's league. And I do think the Lakers could surprise the Spurs. So like I'm going to share my screen here for a second and going to kind of show what I'm talking about here.
So you hide all those other tabs, dude. Okay.
That's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So here we go. So if you look here we have the Western Conference standing so far. So the Thunder are 3 games above the Spurs. Interesting enough, the Spurs do have the tiebreaker. They were 4-1 versus the Thunder in their regular season. So if they finish with the same record, the Spurs would obviously have a higher seed than them. Look down at the Lakers. They are 2.5 games above the Rockets, the Nuggets, and the Timberwolves, and they're actually 3.5 games above that because they own the tiebreaker versus the Rockets, the Nuggets, and the Timberwolves. So the Lakers have a pretty nice lead here at the 3 spot.
Wait, they have the tiebreaker with the T-Wolves?
Oh yeah. Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, they have it for these 4, 5, and 6 spots here.
Wow, that is quite the cushion.
That is quite the cushion, right? So if you're able to stick at the 3 seed, that means you would be now in line to play a team like the T-Wolves or maybe the Nuggets or the Rockets. I still think those are going to be tough series, even though the Lakers have the tiebreaker versus them. And then the second round, I mean, you get the Spurs. Who knows if the Spurs, how they're going to play as far as playoff basketball? We've never seen this team in the playoffs yet. So you talk
Hot
about
take.
like what.
I know this is terrible because it's my team, but they get one and done by T-Wolves or Nuggets.
Ooh.
They won't even go past the first round if they have to match up against either of those teams. They'll beat the Rockets, but they ain't beating the T-Wolves or the Nuggets.
Really?
Nope.
Dang.
Yeah, you think they beat the Rockets?
I do. I think the T-Wolves they have way too much talent on that team, and come playoff time, they play a whole different type of basketball. I don't think the Lakers have anyone to stop Edwards.
Well, that is true. See, that's the issue that I see too, is like, can you in a regular season stop an elite wing for a game here and there? Yes, you can. Can you stop a wing for 4 games in a row? That is where I kind of get a little scared if I'm a Lakers fan, because I will say one thing. LeBron believes in this team. I'll tell you that much. I've been watching LeBron for 20 plus years now. I used to be a massive LeBron James fan, that you guys know. And towards the end of the season, you can kind of tell if LeBron was going to have if the Cavaliers were going to have a good playoff run or not. Because at the end of the year, LeBron decides to ramp it up, or he decides to be in chill mode like he used to say all the time. LeBron believes in this Lakers team. I'll tell you that. I see him trying on defense. I see him diving for loose balls. I see him taking charges. I see him scoring 12 points last night against the Magic. When is the last time you saw a Lakers team, or any team for that matter, win when LeBron scores 12 points?
Right.
So
yeah,
I do
he's
think
into a role right now, a backup, or not a backup role, but like a third option role.
Exactly. He's definitely slid into that third option role. He's like, if you guys need me to do the dirty work, I'll do the dirty work. But that means Luka and Austin are going to have to be on every game. And for them to have to do that plus guard elite wings 4 games, I don't know, man. That scares me if I'm a Lakers fan.
Yeah, I think Rudy Gobert just dominates down low too against Ayton. I just think the Wolves they just have too good of a matchup against them. And I mean, they've been a solid team for years now. So I don't know. I just don't. We'll see. I'm obviously hoping my team wins, but
listen, at one point, Ayton gave Jokic and the Nuggets some issues.
Yeah, I think,
but is he going to do that for 7 games?
Probably not. But
I don't know, man. I don't know. It's so weird with Ayton, because like some games are just like, DeAndre, that's all you need to do is rebound.
Yep.
contest shots. You don't have to block shots, but contest shots and make life hard on other opposing centers. And lately, that's what he's been doing. It doesn't look like he's been kind of a baby like he's normally been. It feels like he's bought in. And as long as Ayton buys in, you're in a good spot. But I mean, like I said from the last episode we've recorded, Marcus Smart is their MVP, man.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to, dive into last episode too much, but that guy just does he's kind of like the Suns' Dylan Brooks. He's kind of like prime Draymond Green for the Warriors when they were winning titles. Like every team needs that guy.
Yep. And now they got Kennard for the threes. Rui's, I think, 7th in 3-point shooting percentage. So like I said last week, I don't want to go over it again, but if they catch fire, they can do some damage. I just don't see it happening against those two teams I just mentioned.
Okay, so unfortunately, we don't think the ceiling has been raised for the Lakers, even though they've gone on this.
I just think
this
the West
awesome
I just
streak.
think the West is stacked, bro. Like someone has to lose, right? Those 3 through 6 seeds are just.
And at this point, with 12,
no.
See, I'm a little on the fence with that. Like, I do think the Lakers can make the conference finals. Will they? I don't know.
Well, Alex said ceiling is conference finals. So, but
Okay,
you don't think
okay.
you don't think finals is you don't think there's any shot for them to be able to win and LeBron get a 5th?
No.
Okay.
You know,
I didn't necessarily think so either, but I just wanted to see with Lakers going on this run if even the Lakers fan would think so. But no, you don't see the bias there, which makes you think, okay.
we could
I
do
I tried as much as I can to not be too biased with my own teams. And it sucks because sometimes you truly mean it. Like I'm sorry to go on a little tangent, but like last year when the Raiders got Geno and like I was like watching film from the last 2 seasons with Seattle and I'm like, man, the Raiders could, they could win 8 games, like 8, 9 games maybe, make a little squeaky run in the playoffs. Dude, the first week, bro, against the Chargers, I was just like, oh my God, dude.
Knew right then.
I knew right then. I was like, but then other times you just have to be completely real. You try to be as realistic as you can, right?
Yep.
Are we want to jump into the Eastern Conference too?
I'm down.
Yeah, I mean, what you seen over there? You still think the Celtics are a scary team? I mean, they've gotten Tatum back. He's been playing more minutes.
Jake, unfortunately, they are scary. So I got my screen shared here. So I'm looking at this now. Pistons up 4 games on Boston for the 1 seed. Unfortunately, Cade Cunningham is out until it's looking like best case scenario, the start of the playoffs with a collapsed lung. So that could be very interesting. And then you've got the Celtics as a 2 seed. They're 1.5 games up on the Knicks for the 2 seed. The Knicks do hold the tiebreaker though. So
okay.
But they have 1 game left to play though, coming up, I believe, in April. So that'll really decide kind of because they're only a game and a half up on the Knicks, right? So if the Knicks were to win this, that would really help solidify their spot. If they do finish with around the same record as the Celtics. So this race right here, I think, is going to be pretty interesting. And then I look at the Cavaliers, who are 2 games back from the Knicks. They have lost the season series versus the Knicks. So that's not good. Obviously, the Knicks hold the tiebreaker versus the Cavs now. But if I'm looking at the Eastern Conference, I would say the Celtics are the favorite. Like I hate to say this, guys, but I mean,
I'm going to agree with you, Troy. And I hate doing it.
I hate doing it too. It's just like every year it feels like Boston's in something for any sport. They just have everything you need for a team to be successful. I look at the Knicks. On paper, the Knicks have probably the best team. But then when you look at their games, they're just like, dude, how come you guys can't beat a lottery team? Right? Like, how are you getting...
like the other day when you were like, well, I don't know if Brunson will be in the game long enough against the Wizards. Dude, they won by 1 point. They were down by like 15 at some point against the Wizards. I'm like, this Knicks team is so inconsistent. It's not even funny.
It is. And you look at their team, they have Mikal Bridges, who is supposed to be somewhat of an elite wing, and OG Anunoby, who's also be somewhat of an elite wing. So it's like you guys have a pretty somewhat deep bench. You have a pretty good center in Karl Anthony Towns. You have 2 really good wings. You have really good guard play with Josh Hart and Jalen Brunson. Like everything you realistically need to win. And they just find themselves losing these easy games. But then I look at the Cavs, and Jared Allen's been out for a long time now. And I think the Cavaliers are the clearest example of why teams don't trade for superstars or stars at the trade deadline in February. You ask, well, why is that? Well, because you only have 2 months left to play together and build chemistry before the playoffs start. And so, they had Tyson in the starting lineup who was having a really good season. And then you put him on the bench for James Harden. And now he's a little up and down because he's still a young player. He's trying to find his way. But then it just kind of changed the whole trajectory of the team. I'm not saying it was the bad trade to make. It was a great trade to make. But if you're seeing the Cavs slide in the seedings and their standings, this is why, I think. It's just the team's trying to get used to James Harden. Will the Cavaliers be a contender next year? I definitely think so, but not this year. If I had to say, I think the Celtics are the favorite in the East. So
I agree.
Yeah,
the only reason they ever got really dethroned in the East was due to injury, right? I mean, you've never really seen that team. They've made 2 titles, won one. Injury has been the thing that dethroned them.
I mean, let's be real. In my opinion, they've been the best team in the East all year. When you consider that Tatum's not their best player, a potential MVP type player, is not even on your team, and you're still clinging on to that second seed for most of the year. It's pretty impressive. They just shoot so many damn threes, and they're so good at them. It's so obnoxious. Yeah. They have legit 4 or 5. They have 4 or 5 guys that can shoot 40% from the three. It's crazy.
I know. And then you have multiple two-way players that can score and play defense, and Derek White and Jaylen Brown. And then it's just a tough team, man. And you're not even talking about Peyton Pritchard too, who's lights out from 3 too.
And their efforts there.
Last question on this
every day.
Last question on this topic, and then we'll wrap up NBA. Celtics and Thunder in the finals. Who you got?
Thunder.
Thank goodness. I hope that's
I actually think the Thunder match up against them. I think the Thunder match up against them so well.
The only thing that would be okay about Boston making a bunch of different championship runs is if they lost in every one of those championships. Because we're about to get into it in a minute, Alex, but I'm concerned about the Red Sox in the MLB this year and their capabilities of making the World Series. So we'll jump into that in 1 second. I think because we're on the topic of basketball, we'll just kind of jump into March Madness really quick because we're right in the middle of that. Second round finishes up today. I always fill out an official March Madness bracket, so we'll make this the official Buffoons bracket. But I had in my final 4, we've got Duke, Houston, Michigan, and Arizona, and then I've got Duke and Arizona in the final game. And I had to pencil in Duke. I just couldn't bring myself to say Arizona. I went to ASU, but I actually do think U of A has the best team, and it wouldn't surprise me if they were the champions. But I couldn't bring myself to pencil it in, so we went with Duke.
I would say a small caveat to that, Jake. I'm really high on Michigan State. I don't know, man. When I watch that team, they have a lot of size. They have a lot of physicality. I love Jeremy Fears Jr. I think he's one of the better all-around point guards in the nation.
Mm-hmm.
I also think Carson Cooper and Jackson Kohler as a 2-man kind of too big rotation you have is really paying some dividends for them. And their size, I love their size and physicality. So I could really see that team making the Final Four. But kind of some interesting little footnotes I took from yesterday's games is Isaac McNeely out of Louisville. I think he could be a really interesting NBA prospect if he develops a little more than just relying on 3-point shooting. Because he's cold as ice from 3. You cannot give him any separation on the 3-point line. But if he were to develop cutting, a little more ball handling, I think he could be a really good NBA prospect. And then Duke, like I told you guys yesterday, I think Duke's going to have 3 first-round picks from their starting lineup. I think, obviously, Cameron Boozer's going to be a top 4 pick. But then you have Patrick Ngongba the second. I think he'll be a first-round pick. I think there's a lot of teams that could use some center help. And then my personal favorite, Isaiah Evans from Duke. Dude, size, can score. He's shifty. He's athletic. He's 6'6", could play multiple positions. Lengthy. He kind of reminds me of a little bit of Brandon Ingram, a little bit.
That's a good comp. Yeah, that's a good comp.
So Duke. It's hard to say Duke's not going to be in it, right? But I think Michigan State's a sleeper.
Yeah, I mean, they'd have to get through UConn. I mean, well, UConn actually has to win today still against UCLA, but I have UConn winning that game. We'll see. But they'd have to beat UConn, which I think they're very capable of doing. So that'd be interesting. But and who knows? I mean, we'll see. St. John's another team that they play Kansas today, but that's another team that truly I think is better than a 5 seed. I think they kind of got snubbed. I think they should have been at least a 3 seed. But anyways. All right. So we'll kind of jump right over into baseball. We've got less than a week left of spring training. We've got, I want to say, like officially 3 days left. We got the MLB starting on Wednesday. Today's a Sunday. So in 4 days officially, we've got baseball starting. So, most teams have finalized their rosters at this point. You're seeing a little bit shake out maybe if some teams had some injuries as far as fighting for a couple final positions, but for the most part, you're seeing rosters be confirmed. So I think we want to go through what do we think our official division winners are going to be for our preseason predictions. Right now, we'll probably do a couple more of these as we get into the season, right? I mean, you just heard us talk NBA a couple weeks in a row, but just our official, so we can reference back to this as we go into MLB season. Who do we think is going to win each division? And then we'll kind of go from there into the playoffs.
You're going to rattle them off or what?
I think you and I can start. I mean, like, let's just start with the American League. Let's start with the AL East, being that's a pretty stacked division. We were just talking about Boston.
Can you guys end on, yes, okay, I was about to say, but after you guys name your picks, can you end on a Red Sox rant, please?
You're not going to want to hear it, but yeah.
Okay.
Yankees, healthy Yankees. I've got them. They should have a better rotation than they did last year. Their lineup is still disgusting. I don't see much change on the lineup side. I just think they have too much firepower, but it's such a stacked division. I wouldn't be surprised if the Red Sox or the Blue Jays won.
Easily the toughest division in all of baseball, right?
Yep.
I think I've got to go with the Yankees too. I mean, you saw a healthy team make the World Series a few years ago. They don't have Garrett Cole. I think people are missing how good of a pitcher Garrett Cole was, and not just due to velocity, but due to just his ability to hit all the spots as a pitcher, right? And that's something that, even coming off of Tommy John surgery like he did, right? It was Tommy John, right, Alex? I'm not mistaken that with a different injury. It was Tommy John, right?
I believe he did.
Yeah, he's been out for so long. It has to be Tommy John.
Yeah.
Because he's been out since before the World Series when they were in it. No, he was in it then.
He was in it that
early. It was early last year that he went out. That's right.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I definitely got to go Yankees on that one. I do think as far as wild card teams go, I could easily see the Blue Jays and Red Sox both being wild card teams.
I think we can agree three teams are going to the playoffs.
More than likely.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say the AL West is a little stacked as well, which we'll get to in just a second. But
don't sleep,
AL Central.
Dude, don't sleep on the Orioles though.
Or the Rays, man. The Rays are still never a bad team.
The Rays are some pieces away, but with Bradish back on the Orioles, Gunnar Henderson is an absolute stud. Jackson Holiday is going to be his second year, dude. That team's better than they get credit for, and they are never an easy win in Baltimore. Right. They are never easy to beat there.
Almost every team in that division, it's hard because in baseball you play so many games against your division foes, unlike any other sport. In terms of just the sheer volume of games that you play against them, it's really difficult to read into those 5 teams' records, because they're being skewed. If they were playing every team in baseball the same number of times, you would see the Rays, the Orioles with much better records, and same with the Yankees, Red Sox, and Blue Jays for that matter, right? You'd see them probably up near 100 wins. So let's move over to the Central, right? So AL Central, you got the White Sox, Guardians, Tigers, Royals, and Twins. I think the White Sox have made a couple of moves to get better, but I still don't think they're even close to being able to win their division. Twins are never a bad team, but again, I just don't think they've got what it takes to win here. Solid players, but you've got, in my opinion, the Tigers with Tarek Skubal. They've got the depth in pitching. 5 incredible pitchers, in my opinion, between Mize, Flaherty, and the offseason acquisition of
Framber Valdez.
of Valdez. Yeah. I think they're the team to beat still. I do think the Royals have got a top 5, probably top 3, but top 5 for sure position player in all of baseball with Bobby Witt Jr.
Dude, really quick, I just have to say, after watching that WBC,
Yeah.
Bobby Witt Jr., if he stays healthy, might go down as arguably the greatest shortstop of all time.
Yeah, I mean, which we were going to get to here in just a minute. We'll get to the WBC because we haven't covered that since it wrapped up here. But yeah, I don't disagree with you. Bobby Witt Jr. is an incredible player, but I do think the Royals have a chance of being a wild card team. But what do you think, Alex? I've got the Tigers as the team to beat.
I have the Tigers as the team to beat, especially when you think that this is Skubal's last year on his contract.
Yeah, I mean, you can see him get traded at the deadline if they're not playing well.
Dude, this dude is gonna come out trying to get the biggest pitching contract in MLB history. He is gonna be so good this year. I honestly just they're the favorite, but I don't trust their lineup, man. I just don't trust their lineup. Then you saw it last year in the playoffs, especially. That's what hurt them, right? And I just don't think they used the offseason to get the pieces that they really needed. I think they're the favorite, but you just can't sleep. The Guardians have a great rotation.
No.
And then that 1-2 punch with Kwan and Ramirez is really good, man. Like that team is never an easy team to beat. And then the Royals, that division is almost like an AL East, but just a little worse.
I don't disagree. I think you've got the White Sox that are just over the last
White Sox
seasons.
made some moves this offseason.
They did.
Are they going to make a push towards the playoffs? No, but they're not.
They shouldn't.
These other teams in the division aren't just going to have an automatic W against them. Murakami, or I think that's how you say it. That kid's a beast, man.
Yeah, I mean, last year you were looking at the Rockies and the White Sox both as teams that you didn't want to just win. You wanted to sweep those teams when you played them. You were getting greedy in terms of what you were wanting out of your team's record, right? I don't disagree. And listen, I actually think the nice thing about baseball is that baseball is incredibly stacked all the way around. I think it's unlike any other sport in the sense that I think you could still expand and add 10 more teams to Major League Baseball, and it would still be incredibly competitive, and you'd have very few teams at the bottom with awful records. So we move into the AL West because I still think this division is pretty strong too because you've got the Los Angeles Angels.
It only got better. It only got better.
The LA Angels. You've got the Athletics, technically without a home at the moment. I wanted to say Oakland, but the future Las Vegas Athletics. You've got the Seattle Mariners, the Texas Rangers, and the Houston Astros. And listen, every year this guy over here. So if y'all don't know, we do baseball betting here, but every year this guy over here, Big Al, will talk about how the Houston Astros, they're done, dude. They're done. They're done. They've fallen off. I don't believe in them this year. And you know what those sons of bitches do?
Cheat more?
Probably, but they're not done. And that's what pisses me off, Troy, because they are cheaters.
You don't have to worry about the Astros.
Okay, see, and that's what now he just said it on the record for the pod, and that just scared me.
You don't have to worry about them. You want to know why you don't have?
Tell us, Daddy.
Because even if they make it to the World Series, the Dodgers would spank that ass. So it's not.
Well, not if they cheat, and I don't disagree. And the Dodgers are still the Dodgers are still salty, probably from the last time they got cheated in the World Series against them.
They're good, but they lost some pieces too.
And please do not let me have to watch an Astros and Dodgers World Series again. That'll just be jeez.
But people are sleeping on this division for sure because the Astros are always good. The Rangers got better this offseason. They look pretty good. The Mariners, they did lose a few pieces,
but they've got the pitching depth.
They have the pitching depth, and that's what'll keep them.
They lost Suarez, but they still have Kyle Raleigh. They still have Josh Naylor. They've still got what's his name? Who's probably their best player in the outfield. But their best
Arena.
Yeah, Arena. Yeah. I mean, so I mean, that's going to be a tough division as well. Angels, never an easy out. They do have Mike Trout. He's not the same player anymore, but I do think he's going to have a better season this year than the last few. I think he's going to have a slight resurgence.
They're one of the worst teams in the league. They just made that trade in the offseason to the Orioles, I think, and the pitcher now has drop elbow, so he's he's might not be ready for the opener. It's just, dude, the Angels are just a shit run franchise. Great games to go to though. Like if you're ever in SoCal and you want to go to like a cheaper game that's just like fun, go to that. Oh, I would seriously, I'm not even kidding. Angels, I'd go there before the Dodgers. The Dodger Stadium's a shithole and you might get stabbed. But the Angels, it's a great time, dude. They're great fans, but the team just
Oh, we'll have
sucks,
to
dude.
clip that for sure. We'll have
The
to clip
team
that
just
one for
sucks.
sure.
The team just sucks. Like, oh, that's just what it is. But Jake, I want to know your opinion on the Athletics though, because I think they have something brewing over there. I really do.
They did. They made some moves. They also lost a couple players though. They lost a couple players that I thought were decent. They still have Brent Rooker. They still got Mason Miller. They've got some guys.
No, Miller's on the
Oh no, that's
Padres.
right. Miller's on the Miller's left. That's right.
But
They traded him.
but you just saw
Um,
Severino pitch the other day in the
that's right.
WBC. He looked great. They still have Brent Rooker, Nick Kurtz.
Yep.
They still have their center fielder. They
Yeah,
have
it would have
Jacob
been
Wilson.
interesting.
Jacob
Yeah, they
Wilson, the
lost
shortstop.
JJ Bled. Yeah, they lost. Here's a player that I've been watching kind of close, just because I thought he was going to make the Reds major league roster. It's JJ Bleday. And honestly, he did everything you could do to make the roster. If you go look up his spring training stats, I mean, he played great. But the Reds just have a lot of depth right now, and so they put him on the AAA. They designated him to the AAA roster. Don't know how much he'll love that, but I mean, he had like a 900 OPS. He was batting over 300 at his like 4 or 5 home runs during spring training, and that was a player that the Athletics lost. And I could see
the MLB needs at least 2 more teams. The Yankees sent back down Spencer Jones and Jason Dominguez.
Yeah, I mean,
if
listen,
Jason Dominguez isn't a starter in the MLB, I don't know what you do anymore.
This is what I was saying. I mean, I do think, before we hop into this is just a slight side rant, and then we'll get into the NL here. But I do think, people are talking about expansion teams for the NBA in the next couple of seasons. I think it's the 27-28 offseason. They're talking about expanding 2 more teams in the NBA. You have like 10 bottom feeder teams right now in the NBA. And I think that's why the tanking discussion is such an issue. And so I don't think you need to expand in the NBA. I don't think you have enough talent to spread that out to where there's 2 more teams that need 10 full starters. That I just don't think that's the case right now. Whereas in MLB, I think there's so much AAA and minor league talent that you could add 10 more teams. And like I said earlier, you would have very few teams with just terrible records where they're winning only 25-30% of their games.
Bro, we're missing out on some all-stars. Like there are all-stars in AAA right now.
I know.
But due to the position they play, they can't get to the majors, or they don't get enough time in the majors to get adjusted. There are literally all-stars in fucking AAA right now. And it's sad, dude. It's sad.
It's true, which is gonna move me over to the NL Central. Sorry, Troy, do you have anything to add there on the AL? I mean, I don't mean to leave you out. Troy doesn't quite follow baseball as close. He's our NBA expert, so I just, do you have anything there you want to add to the AL discussion?
No, honestly, I wanted to hear the NL discussion coming up, but kind of like to point out what you're talking about expansion. Yeah, expansion. Like I did a whole little podcast on the NBA expansion thing, but as far as the MLB, yeah, I think what you guys are saying makes perfect sense. Like you can realistically expand in the MLB, whereas NBA, there's so many glaring issues with the NBA right now that you should probably stop the bleeding and then worry about expansion maybe in 28-29 season. But considering how there is so much more talent in the MLB who are just in the minors right now, yeah, I could see expansion there.
Yeah, and Troy, I just want to let you know, I know you didn't get a lot in there on that segment, but we are talking about Chippendales next, so you can take hold of that convo next.
Can't wait. I've been bracing and looking forward to that.
Perfect.
All right. Well, we'll jump into the AL Central since we were just I was just ranting here about the Reds. So AL Central, we got the Brewers, Cubs, Reds, Pirates, Cardinals. Listen, I'm just going to give you a hot take here. I think the Reds are going to win the division there.
You mean the NL Central, right?
Did I say AL?
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely meant NL. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm dumb.
That's all good.
Yeah, just a total idiot. But yeah, we got Brewers, Cubs, Reds, Cardinals, and Pirates. And personally, I think the Reds are going to win this division. I like their pitching depth. Right now, Hunter Green is out till about June or July. He had to get some arthroscopic work. I've already ranted about this. He should have got this work done last year. But even without him, If he does come back this season and there's no complications or anything like that, that would actually give him a pretty fresh arm if we were to make the postseason, compared to a lot of other pitchers who are going to go out and pitch 30, 33 games this year. So that does have a slight upside to it if he comes back with no complications. But the rest of our pitching rotation, I mean, one of the challenges we were going to have coming into spring training was which pitcher wasn't going to make the rotation, because we had Nick Lodolo and Andrew Abbott. Andrew Abbott was our ace over the last season, you could argue. And then after that, you've got our upcoming stud Chase Burns. You've got Brady Singer, who we traded for from the Royals, who's been pitching great. And then you had this upcoming stud Rhett Lauder. And the difference between him and Burns is one of those like velocity pitchers, right? He's just got disgusting stuff. But Lauder's one of those, again, hit your spot pitchers. And I really like those guys. I'm not gonna lie to you. I like those hit your spots, trick you kind of pitchers, that are just playing mental games up there with the hitters. And just, have such a good connection with the catchers that they know exactly how the catcher wants to call that game. So really excited for them. They've got a pretty solid bullpen, not one of the best, but also I think middle of the pack, and then I like what they've done as far as their lineup goes. Um, I think they've got 13 good offensive players with 2 to 3 more sitting in AAA that if, a couple of them struggle at any point, we've got guys to call up and guys to send down. So I got the Reds winning that division. I still think the Brewers are a solid team, could easily make a wild card spot. St. Louis is never an easy out. They lost some guys, but they're sort of in a rebuild mode, but they'll always surprise you because they're a well-run org. And then I think the Cubs lost Pete Crow, but the Cubs are, I think if there's any team that's going to compete for the division with the Reds or that the Reds need to worry about, it's the Cubs. I mean, that's the favorite right now, I'd say, to win the division. What are your thoughts on that, Alex? You think
Yeah,
I'm crazy for thinking the
I'm gonna
Reds?
make a surprising one. I think one of the more surprising teams that are gonna come out this year are the Pittsburgh Pirates. I think with Paul Skeens and Bubba Chandler as their 1 and 2, that's like if you have to face them back to back in a series, that sucks. They just acquired Brandon Lowe, Jake Magnum, and Mason Montgomery from the Rays. And I think the biggest piece that's going to help them is they got Marcell Azuna from the
The Braves.
Braves.
Yeah,
And I think, dude, like you saw it last year.
he's gonna upset me.
Skeens would have had like 8 more wins if they just scored like 1 more run every time he played. Like it was like they just needed it to score more runs, and I think they actually did a pretty good job considering they're the Pittsburgh Pirates at getting some talent in there. It shows that they're actually trying.
Okay. All
But
right. Well, we'll move over to the AL East real quick, and we'll wrap it up with the West. We'll make these quick. We got the East. We got the Atlanta Braves, Washington Nationals, New York Mets, Philadelphia Phillies, and Miami Marlins. I personally think the 2 favorites out of that division are the Mets and Phillies. I got to go with the Mets with just how loaded their roster is, how much money they've spent on it, but it wouldn't surprise me to see the Phillies. Braves are always supposed to be a good team, but they've underperformed the last few years. But I could see them.
Anytime Acuna's hurt.
But even when he was not hurt, I still felt like they came back. They kind of underperformed.
They
was
did, but
kinda
you can't sleep on those guys though. That team has some serious talent.
They
on
did.
it.
They lost to Zuna, like you were just saying, though. He was
Yeah.
a great, great player. But
I'm gonna say, damn, this is so tough between Mets and Phillies. Honestly,
it
like
is,
the Mets got even better. Their pitching is gonna be better.
which is where they were lacking last year.
Where's Wheeler at?
He's still with Philly. But I mean,
I
he's
know,
not. He's
but
not the
is
same
he?
player he was.
Yeah.
He's not the same
Well, he
player he
got
was a
hurt.
few
He
years
got
ago.
he had like a
Right.
either a lung or a blood clot or something.
Yeah. Still not a
Yeah.
player you want
Okay.
to go up against, but
I know we need to speed it up, so I hate to even. It's gonna disgust me to say it, but I think the Mets might win that division.
yeah, I agree with you. I think they are. So we'll move over to the West, and we'll talk about World Baseball Classic real quick before we move on, and then we'll wrap this thing up. But we got the Dodgers, Padres, Giants, Rockies, Diamondbacks. I think it's obvious who the division winner is. It's the Dodgers. Anyone else in that division that we think has a shot at making a run or doing anything like that?
Nope.
Yeah, me neither. Love the Diamondbacks. Think they have a shot. Their ceiling might be to squeak in with the wild card, and that's if they can get some of their players back that are injured. D-backs have Corbin Burns hurt, and then 2 great relief pitchers. I mean, AJ Puck and and then Justin Martinez. But they're hurt right now, so they're supposed to come back somewhere around mid-season. So if we can hang around until then, we might be able to be dangerous in the playoffs, but we'll see. We'll see about that. So, World Baseball Classic. We haven't talked about that. This wrapped up. We saw, unfortunately, the United States lost to Venezuela, but we did get to see what I would say are two of the best games of baseball I've ever witnessed between the USA and the Dominican Republic, and then the USA Venezuela. I mean, the all-star talent, and these were all-star games in terms of players. Just they had something they were really, really competing for and trying to win for. So.
Let me put something into perspective for you on that
Yeah.
Dominican game. That Dominican game versus the USA, there is potentially 19 future Hall of Famers that were on that field that night.
That's yeah. I mean, every at bat, everyone, you were just like, this is ridiculous. There's not an easy out. There's no easy, like, I mean, everything.
What that game told, what both these games taught me, and I already knew this, but I'm going to tell it to everyone else. Both those games taught me that in big games, pitching will always be more important than your lineup. Yep. Always. It doesn't matter. I don't care. Okay, I was gonna say I don't care if you have 9 Barry Bondses in your lineup, but that
might be a little different.
That's a little different. But you can literally have a lineup with 9 future Hall of Famers. If you have an ace on that man that's feeling it that day, they might get 1 run.
Yep. Which, you know, as we move over to the Venezuela game, here's what disappoints me, and this is why I might have a little hope for the Diamondbacks. Eduardo Rodriguez got him from the Tigers a few years ago. The Diamondbacks did. Hasn't really, and he had a great year that year with the Tigers. Has not been the guy for the D-backs. He's really been like a number 4 or 5 guy. There are questions if he was even going to make the roster this year. Goes out for Venezuela, pitches 5 scoreless innings, just dominates, just pitches his ass off. I mean, I know he's got something to play for, obviously, but I'm hoping that can, you know, translate here now into the regular season for MLB and give him a little bit of momentum. And then, you know, the hero for Venezuela is a guy that I love. He was both a Diamondback and a Red. Eugenio Suarez. He got the game-winning RBI, if you will. He was the guy that got the home run, kicked it off against Italy in the semifinals there.
Looks good. Looks
So-
good this year.
Jake, I had a question for both of you guys. Do you think, as far as the Venezuela and United States final, do you think it's unfair how Aaron Judge received all the criticism after that game, considering the whole rest of his team didn't score a run either?
I will.
You want me to can I take this real quick, Alex? Because I know
Go
you're
ahead,
going to have
go
some.
ahead.
I want to just give
Go
a
ahead.
slight unbiased opinion on this, and
Go
then
ahead.
I'll pass it over to you because he is a Yankees fan. Aaron Judge is his favorite player. Yeah, I do, Troy. I think it's a little unfair. Now, listen, I think that's the territory that comes with being what I would consider the best hitter in baseball, and arguably the best player in all of baseball. Now, when Shohei Ohtani is pitching, you can't say that he's better than Shohei. Hard to compare those two positions, but the territory that comes with being the best in the world is if you don't get a hit and you go 0 for 4 like he did, you are going to be criticized. Is it unfair? Yes, it is, but that's the territory that comes with being the greatest in the world. So that's my take on it, Alex.
My take is it's fucking retarded. Like it's so dumb. Like I can see. All right, I have 2 points. 2 points to this. Okay, 1. If he didn't do anything in the WBC, I'd be like, damn, man, this is bad. This fool was the highlight reel for like every game on defense for 3 straight games with 2 massive throws to third base to get lead runners out, and then a diving play to save an inning. Then he hit 2 home runs in the WBC, I believe. So it's not like he did nothing, but he didn't come up in the big moments. But then again, no one did, dude. They had 2 players that had hits against Venezuela.
Well, Harper did. Harper did come up in a big moment.
Harper had two of the 3 hits is my point, though.
Yeah.
There was 2 guys that got hits. Now, let's say this was an 8-7 game. The USA lost, and 7 of the 9 players had hits, and Judge went 0 for 4 with 3 Ks. I'd be like, okay, man, like you're the best player in baseball. This is what happens when you don't perform. The whole team sucked. Like you can't blame one guy. I'm sorry. It's so dumb.
Yeah, no, I think these are Dodgers fans and Shohei Ohtani fans that are just looking to throw shade at Aaron Judge. That's really what it is.
What's funny to me, though, is Will Smith, he swung on a ball that hit him.
Oh, I know. I remember that. And he had that terrible throw. Yeah.
He had a pass ball
Yep.
He had a pass ball that let a run score after the guy got to third, and then it scored. He had a terrible throw to second for a guy
Yep.
stealing.
That's what I
So
was about to say. Yep.
it's just like, dude, there's blame to go around everywhere, but somehow people just pick out Judge. And even if I wasn't a Yankees fan or a Judge fan, I'm like, this is as a baseball enthusiast, someone that loves baseball and knows the game, that is the stupidest thing to say. Like, it's
I
just
will
so
say,
dumb.
I think he's gotten more hate than Mike Trout got on his strikeout to Shohei Ohtani in the World Baseball Classic, for sure.
Which is crazy. It's just crazy to me.
Which is a little crazy, but hey, that's again, it is what it is.
Usually you remember the last at bat, right? Like,
Yeah.
you're like, who struck out. Roman Anthony, it's not like
Mm.
Judge was the last batter and could have tied the game or something. Like, it's just, the whole
Yeah.
thing is so dumb. And I don't know why people hate him. He is an amazing human being. He takes less money so he can stay with the team he wants to stay for. He does
And-
everything you want as a player and as someone you want your kids to look up to. And then people just shit on him.
And he's quiet. He doesn't show, but he's not. Had he hit the game-winning home run, he wouldn't have been one of those guys that's out there like making it all about him. He would have given all the glory to his team. I mean, he's a great guy.
He doesn't even pimp 450-foot home runs. He just hits them and runs.
Which is why I was excited for Eugenio Suarez to be the guy, because he's a really great guy. I mean, I would encourage everyone to go watch his post-game interview too.
I'm not even upset we lost, because this is my last take on it. It's our bullpen and our roster could be so much better.
Yeah.
But guys just haven't played in it yet. I think you give it one or two more, and USA will finally have a roster that's like, what it's
I think everyone's
be.
so worried about their pitcher getting hurt or preseason, getting something like that. They're just so afraid of that.
That's what it is.
They don't want to risk it.
Dude, we should have had Tarek Skubal in that game.
Because ultimately, the team that owns your contract can deny you the ability. Like, for example, Ellie De La Cruz was coming off a quad injury from last year. They denied him the ability to play in the World Baseball Classic. So it is.
And I do understand it, but that's why I don't take it as serious, because I'm like, dude, we don't even have all our talent out there. Whereas like Venezuela and Dominican, not only do they have every best player from their country, they get to handpick players that are born in America but have heritage from that country.
Yeah.
Like Italy couldn't even fill their roster out without American-born players.
That's true. I don't disagree with you.
They had
they had Mike Lorenzen.
guys.
I mean, their pitch. Yeah, no, totally. Real quick before we close out baseball, we've got the ABS system. Players now are reporting their heights that are 3 inches lower, which, by the way, that final pitch in the World Baseball Classic, if we had the ABS challenge system, would have solved a lot, because that was a ball, but I'll take it.
Hold on, really quick. I want to piggyback off that. If you saw the view from the side, it crosses right below his knees. I will say,
well, it's a good thing umps don't call it from the side; they call it from behind.
95% of that was a ball, but you can't look at that pitch, bro. Not after the umpire's been calling it all game. You cannot look at that pitch in that moment.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was a breaking ball. There was another pitch, just a few pitches before that was a few inches above, that was called a ball, but it was a fastball. I'll give you that. So it was a tough pitch. It worked out because, like I said, at least in that game against the Dominican Republic, USA, Moreno is one of my favorite, or not Moreno, Perdomo on the D-backs is one of my favorite players. Great player, always a tough out. I even texted you that when he was coming up to bat. I was like, this guy's a tough out. And it wasn't his fault in terms of his inability to get on base. It was kind of a bad call, but it worked out in the USA favor because we won. So, but as we talk about ABS systems, because I think that would have benefited that, players are coming in, they're reporting their heights now. Some of them are 3 inches shorter than they were last year. And a lot of people are thinking that's to benefit the ABS challenge system. For those of you who don't know, obviously the strike zone, this is another reason it's difficult for Aaron Judge, right? Your strike zone is based on between your knees and shoulders, right? So, essentially what you've got is the taller you are, the more difficult, or the bigger your strike zone is. So the more it favors the pitcher, and the less it favors you, because you've got to be able to cover more ground, right? So the idea behind this whole ABS system is to be able to try to shrink that zone for people, and try to trick the AI, if you will, into thinking that you're not as tall as you are. I don't know if that's actually what's happening or if that's just speculation, but it is funny to see certain players. Gavin Lux, for example, is one I saw a lot from last year. He was 6'2". This year he's 5'9". I mean, it's very. I mean,
Dude,
it's,
dude,
I mean,
dude,
it's like, how do you even what?
I
What
was
even
looking
happens
at some
here?
of those, Jake. I was like thinking when you guys mentioned Bryce Harper making a few plays defensively, I was like, Bryce went from 6'2" to 6'1". Then you've got Bo Naylor from the Guardians going from 6 foot to 5'9". So I was like, those
Bo's
are
on
some...
Seattle now, but yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Well,
he was straight. But yeah, no, I mean, still, yeah, these guys are getting smaller,
yeah.
and it's like, are you trying to trick the system into thinking that your strike zone is smaller? I don't know what's going on here, but
No,
very
Jake,
interesting.
that's what I thought was going on. But this is the MLB sending their own teams out to get height measurements. This is like when the NBA redid it and they made everyone come in and actually get like a doctor to measure them.
Okay.
So it's the league that's having them do this. And that's what I think is even funnier, because these people aren't going, hey, I'm going to put 5'9" when I'm really 6 foot so that I get a tighter strike zone. These guys are actually that much smaller. And my favorite thing about this whole thing is that Aaron Judge is listed as 6'7". He's actually 6'7". I was like, wow, I would have thought like some of the big guys were like, claiming an inch bigger, because I
Dude,
claim like 4 inches bigger all the time. So,
I would hate to get measured
Oh,
out
you
there.
do
I'm
more than that,
5'9". I'd be like 5'6".
yeah.
Well, listen, I go to a lot of spring training games living out here in Arizona, and it's always funny because I'll see players and I'm like, boy, that guy does not look like he's 6'1". That's crazy. I'm
Yeah.
6'1".
Did we measure Altuve yet? I got to see the real
I don't know.
height.
But that's good clarification and good feedback, or I mean, not feedback, but just, good insight on that.
Yeah,
'Cause
it made it.
I
It
didn't
made it
realize
make
that's what it
sense
was.
more. It made it make a lot more sense to me, because the only thing you should be measuring though is knees to hips, basically. You shouldn't. You don't. It doesn't matter how tall they are.
Yep. Okay, so I know there's 2 more topics we wanted to get to before we wrapped up real quick. We want to just talk about the Jake Paul MVP fight card. Alex, thoughts on that? I don't have a lot to add on that, so feel free to give us your take.
Well, I think it's impressive that another promotion can put a card together that is kind of like a UFC pay-per-view. I mean, don't get me wrong, some of the people are a little older, but I mean, we've got it all. You got Francis versus some dude that he's going to starch. So we get to see a great Francis knockout. You get to see Ronda versus Gina, dude. That's like a softcore porn. And then
Yeah. Yeah, dude.
All right.
I want to see another Gina. I want to see a Gina Carano versus Juggernaut fight again.
yeah. No, dude, that's going to be a hilarious fight. And then let me see, I'm trying to pull it up. I forgot who else they have on it, but it's low key like a UFC pay-per-view card.
They
Dude.
have
Nate
they have
Diaz. Nate Diaz versus
So-
Mike Perry.
They also have Jason Jackson versus Lorenz Larkin.
Well, that's
It's 3 solid fights that I'm like, wow, it's pretty impressive. Like, to be able to,
and potentially very good timing, since we're coming off, what most people are considering the worst fight of all time, actually just last night between Michael Page and Sam Patterson. 15 minutes of just a straight snooze fest. They're saying it was worse. Yeah, so Alex, they're saying it was worse than the Derek Lewis fight. I mean, in terms of just combat action, it was terrible. I didn't happen to actually watch it myself. I have watched some highlights from it, and let me tell you, there's no highlights. I mean, there is.
Let me tell you how you fix this problem. It's so easy, and the proof is in the pudding. It's already happened. It was UFC, I think it was 300, but the fighters were on stage for the press conference, and they were talking about how the bonuses should be way more money for this fight because it's such an exciting event. And usually he gives $50,000 bonuses for fight of the night, 50,000 for knockout of the night, submission of the night. They went from 50 to 300,000 for the bonuses. Dude, the card was so good. Every fighter was like fighting to the death because they all wanted to get a good bonus. It's that easy, dude. Put an incentive on the line. That's all you have to do.
Yep. Yep.
That's why sometimes, like in other sports, these incentivized contracts are so good.
Well, I mean, hey, not to backtrack here, but you're talking about tanking in NBA. How do you fix that? Advise the teams to want to win more, right? It's the same with this. Advise fighters for fighting harder. What do you get for fighting harder and winning? Well, you get $250,000 more dollars. Okay.
Which for fighters who aren't getting those big, $20 million contracts like NBA and NFL players are, I mean, that's
Dude, 300 grand is so much to them,
that's
dude.
a lot
Some
for
of
them
these guys,
fighters right now.
bro, when you get signed to the UFC, you're fighting for 12 and 12. 12 to show, 12 to win. You can go in there and get your teeth knocked the fuck out for 12 grand, dude.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, we'll wrap it up real
We,
quick on.
we make more.
Well-
We make more than your average UFC fighter. They would have to fight and win 5 fights in a year.
Yep.
To make what we make.
Yep.
And they're on fucking pay-per-views, dude. It's insane. It's insane.
Everyone always looks at the champions and assumes it's like, no, man, that's like MLB right now for minor league contracts. A lot of those guys are making $40K a year, traveling a bunch. Well, they're making more, but the single A, double A guys, they're making sometimes $40K a year, $50K a year. I mean, they're not
most
making
those
what you
dudes have
think.
a second job.
Exactly. And baseball is there. All right, we'll wrap it up on one final topic here. We'll wrap it up on NFL. A couple of off-season things have gone down here in the last week or so. We saw Mike Evans go to the 49ers. Pretty big acquisition for them, you could argue, especially if they're able to retain like Trent Williams and some of those other guys on defense. You've got Colts looking at Joey Bosa.
He'll be hurt by week 3.
Yeah. You got Colts looking at Joey Bosa right now, so hoping we can make that since we weren't able to acquire Trey Hendrickson. I do think that would be a nice acquisition for less money too. And then the final one, which you can see here by Troy's hat. I'd love to hear his take. He hasn't given us a good take here in a little bit because we've been talking a ton of MLB here. But we got AJ Brown. We know that Philadelphia is looking to move this guy. He's been a headache in the locker room. It's tough to trade the guy coming off of a Super Bowl win, which is why he probably didn't get moved last year. He's probably been someone that they were looking to move the last couple of seasons, just in terms of the issues between him and Jalen Hurts, the issues between him and the head coach, the antics, the money that's tied up in him. And we know that the Rams were looking to acquire Mike Evans. So does this make sense, Troy? Are they looking? Have you heard any rumors about the Rams looking to acquire AJ Brown and make that trade? That might be tough though, because both the Eagles trading to another NFC team that's at the top of the echelon there that's looking to make the Super Bowl and compete with them. That's a tough one to understand, whereas you could see them trading outside of the conference. So is this going to happen? Do you think it's going to happen? How bad do you want it to happen?
Yeah, I actually think you hit it perfectly. That ending point there was, why are the Eagles going to trade him to the Rams? If you're talking about, hey, maybe we want to trade him to the Bills, okay, I could possibly see that happening. But I also think the big one here is money. Like you also pointed out there, is I have a little note here that says AJ Brown pre-June 1st was owed $40 million. So if they were to have traded AJ Brown by June 1st, the Eagles would still owe him $40 million because it's a guaranteed contract. If he's traded post June 1st, the Eagles then will save $7 million in cap room. So they have no incentive to trade AJ Brown anywhere within the next 2 months, which is why I don't think anything did happen. Does it make sense for the Rams? I trust Sean McVay to get somebody in line more than probably anybody else in the league. I think we've seen that with some players, especially guys like Odell Beckham Jr. I think that's a perfect example. Kind of a guy that was having some issues off the field, some issues on the field even. He comes in, helps the Rams win a Super Bowl. Now, my only caveat to this is you have Devontae Adams.
Yep.
Is AJ Brown going to want to come in as the third option to start already, knowing he already does have some issues? I think that is where things get interesting, but rumor has it is the Rams were actually talking about including Devontae Adams in that trade. So that's where things got a little interesting for me. I was like, damn, man, like Devontae's coming off leading the league in touchdowns, right? But then look at the Rams team, they don't really have a guy that can kind of go deep down the field and just get a ball for you late in the game. You could say Puka doesn't do that. Puka's a big yards after catch guy. He's going to take hits for you, which I don't think he should be doing. He's going to run slant routes really well for you. He's just going to be really physical out there. He's going to get you a bunch of yards after the catch. I don't have a guy like AJ Brown. But my only caveat to that is if you're going to trade a lot for AJ Brown, why wouldn't you just try to call up Cincinnati or call up Minnesota and see what it would take to get a guy like Jamar Chase or Justin Jefferson? Like, if you really are pushing all of your chips in the middle and saying, look, we know Stafford's only got a year or two left, why wouldn't you go out and try to get one of the better receivers instead of AJ Brown? And I understand money is a situation. I understand that cap space is a situation in the NFL. But why wouldn't you at least try to make these calls and see if you could get those guys? So
I don't disagree. Let me share my screen here really quick, and then we'll wrap up, because there's just one thing I just want to show before we leave here. Because before anyone talks about trading Davante Adams, I think it needs to be shown. There's this move here that the full screen here. There's this move right here. So you can see this play, right? They ran this play all season long, where you have Davante lined up right out here on the left side, and he's got this one-on-one coverage because they're forced to, because they're having to commit to the run here, because they've just got this heavy run package with 3 tight ends in here, right?
Yep.
And then they're shifting the tight end over. I think that's Higbee, if I know 87. I don't remember for sure, but they're shifting him over this way, which is going to pull one of the backs or safeties, which is just leaving all this space for Davante. And right here, Troy, if you go back, you could have watched this play. Half of Davante's touchdowns last year came on a play like this, where he was one-on-one, because you'll see when he takes off, he either cuts inside or outside, depending on what the corner does. And Matthew Stafford is reading this perfectly. If he literally just look right away, you just see him. All he's doing is just staring right here at this corner to see exactly what Davante's reading the corner. Stafford's reading Davante, knowing no matter what the corner does, he's got this touchdown, because Davante is so good. And so you just watch this play right here. That happens so many times. And if it wasn't on the inside, it was him breaking out here to the outside. That play happened so many times last year. And I'm just telling you, Davante is quite possibly one of the best receivers I've ever seen in my life. Especially if you're just needing a single catch. You've got to hang on to that guy. I would not trade him for AJ Brown at all.
I agree, Jake. And like you were saying, they mostly use Davante in the red zone in the regular season. That's where Davante was getting most of his touchdowns. Like I said, he led the league in touchdowns.
Yep.
And then
it was on those types of plays.
Yeah, well, those one-on-one types of plays where he's going to either break in or out, but Stafford was reading it every time. And do the Rams need a downfield type of receiver because Davante Adams is 33? Yes, they do. But you have the 13th overall pick. Go out. This is why I said on this podcast a week ago or weeks ago, especially to you guys in text, the Rams are going to go offense at 13 in the draft. They are. Whether that's a tackle or whether that is a receiver, I think they're going to go receiver and get a downfield guy. So no, I don't want to see an AJ Brown trade. If you are going to make a trade for a receiver, go out and try to see what you can get for Jefferson or Jamar Chase. But no.
Yep. Yeah. And I think there's some good, you got Jordan Tyson, guys like that could be available there. Wide receiver coming out of ASU. You're figuring he's going to be one of the top 2 to 3 wide receivers in the draft, so he could be there. Which
him or Carnell Tate, or then you have Mekhi Lemon, who's also a USC Trojan.
Yep, which is a perfect way for us to kind of close this out. We'll let everybody know again.
Don't even try to get out of here without me doing my segment, okay?
Well, here he goes.
And in the future, I want some editing done. That's like do. Let's play. Would you rather?
I can actually make that happen.
Yeah, I want something like that. So every time.
This fucking guy. Would you rather? Here we go. All right. What is it this week?
Oh, I almost lost you. Okay.
What is it this week?
Okay. So I already texted you one, but
something.
I'll hold off on that one. Jake wasn't a fan. But okay. Would you rather stick a toothpick under your big toenail and kick a door as hard as you can? Or would you rather jump in a pool full of orange juice and you have paper cuts all over your entire body and you have to stand for 15 seconds?
Orange juice.
Orange juice.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm going to go orange juice too. The toothpick thing seems like it's against the Geneva Convention. So,
where do you come up with these? We had such a good transition from the draft to closing it out and reminding people that they could watch us live for the draft for a watch party, and you want to jump in here with that one.
Okay, fine. I won't end it on torture. I got another one for you. We'll do a double.
Why do we do this?
Your wife and your mom switch bodies.
Okay, we're done.
And to get back to normal, you have to bang one. Which one? Your mom with your wife's brain, or your
I'm
wife
not.
with your
No,
mom's
no,
brain?
Alex. I'm not answering this stupid shit. I'm not answering this stupid shit. I'm not answering this stupid shit. Is this is his podcast prep? I'm over here like looking for some videos here. Like, oh, we got to show Devontae Adams and Matthew Stafford's connection over here. This guy's just sitting there like, what stupid ass question can
He's
I
not
ask? Jake?
lying. He's not
gonna wanna
lying. I was on
answer.
Reddit for like 15 minutes the other day just looking at different would you rather.
Great prep. Great prep. I mean,
Dude.
that is top notch work right there.
Dude, the
Holy fuck.
the toothpick under the toenail seems miserable.
Yeah, it's so bad.
I'm almost wishing I shouldn't have said anything. We should have just ended there, and I could have found a way to transition to the close. So here we.
Yeah, well, you can do your transition now unless you want another one.
No, we're good. All right. So if you're still with us, thanks for hanging out. That'll do it for episode 3 of the Buffoons podcast. As a reminder, we will be live with a watch party for the NFL draft coming up at the end of April. We'll have some other episodes until then, but just want to make sure that is on your calendar if you happen to enjoy the content you got here today. Nothing like being live with us and seeing what kind of ridiculous, stupid shit Big Al's going to talk about live without filters. So,
All
we'll see you
righty.
then.
Can't wait for that.
Later, Buffoons.